Now, I thought this piece of information would be very interesting to a lot of you guys. And it has to do with the heights of the people in the welterweight division. I just never realized that the welterweights in the welterweight division are much smaller guys than even myself. Like, height-wise, that is, I'm 5'11", 6 feet tall. And there are very few welterweights in the welterweight division as it is right now who are even reach that height. Take, for instance, Terrence Crawford. If you look at his height in meters, he's only 5'7". Now, it's recorded that he's 5'9", probably with shoes on, the boxing shoes on. But he's really 5'7", and that's pretty short. Okay, that's like Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s height. And I thought this guy was a lot taller. Errol Spence Jr. is also 5'7", if you're going meters to feet. He's registered as 5'9", 5'8", like Floyd Mayweather, but he's actually shorter. Sean Porter, he's 5'5", 5'4". He's around Manny Pacquiao's height. With shoes, I guess he's 5'6", 5'7". Manny Pacquiao, he's 5'5", 5'4", like I said before. With shoes on, I guess 5'6". Danny Garcia, he's registered as 5'7", like a Floyd Mayweather, but usually with shoes, I guess they say he's 5'8", 5'9", 5'7.5". Keith Thurman, amazingly, I thought this was a big, tall guy. He's only 5'7", registered somewhere around that height. And I could just go on and on. Amir Khan, 5'7", right? Jesse Vargas, he's amazingly taller than most of them. He's registered at 5'9" if you're going meters to feet, but he's registered as 5'11", which is round about my height. So he's actually a taller boxer than most of these guys. Adrian Broner, 5'6", 5'5", is around Manny Pacquiao's height, Timothy Bradley's height. So a lot of these guys are actually around about the same height. That's my point. Omar Figueroa, same thing. Thomas Dularme is a little bit taller, 5'8", 5'9". But most of these guys actually measure somewhere between 5'5" and 5'9" at most. Okay, and I thought this was very interesting. Adrian Granados is a little bit taller. He's registered as 5 foot, I think it's 10, but he's really about 5'8". So I just find this very interesting, and I just thought I'd point it out to you guys concerning the welterweight division. So it's not really surprising if Mikey Garcia is actually facing, again, Errol Spence Jr. or even Terrence Crawford or even Manny Pacquiao, because they're around about, as strange as it sounds, Manny Pacquiao is kind of short. But when you put on the little heels, the little shoes and stuff, and when boxers come into the ring, they do not stand tall. They usually stand at an angle. That takes away from some of the height advantage that they may have instead of standing tall and using their height. So at the end of the day, I've noticed that most of these boxers, they don't really have that great height advantage. Some of them have a little bit more of a reach advantage, which is better. When you have a reach advantage, that's actually more important than a height advantage to some degree. But as with all things, it really doesn't matter because, again, it's your footwork and so on. Another interesting thing, Canelo Alvarez is a pretty short middleweight. Nobody ever said that, but Miguel Cotto's a short middleweight, short welterweight. But so is Canelo. Canelo's actually around about, unofficially, 5'7". Officially, he's registered as 5'9", a little bit taller than Floyd. He's not really a tall middleweight, which is kind of interesting. In fact, he's not even a tall super welterweight. Super welterweights come in somewhere around 5'10". Middleweights come in somewhere around 5'11", 6 feet 2. So it's kind of interesting that, Gennady Golovkin's taller than Canelo, and Canelo's probably one of the shorter middleweights in the division. So I just thought this is all interesting. Of course, height doesn't mean much in boxing. It's really about how you use your skills to find the appropriate range that you need to box with. So we've had lots of shorter boxers who have been able to beat much taller, rangier boxers. So it doesn't really have to do anything with your height or your size in boxing, and more has to do with your skill. Okay, that is very true. And we know this from Floyd Mayweather fighting a lot of bigger, taller, stronger fighters. And even some of these boxers, like Sean Porter, etc., who fought bigger, taller boxers and beat them, right? Now, there's one more thing I want to talk about, which I didn't realize was something that we really should think about, which is that in boxing also, while we like to talk about weight class, some guys in the smaller weight classes actually punch as hard as guys in higher weight classes. Take, for instance, when it was looking, and you can always go and check this out, go look at punching power of the PBC superstars. You can Google that into YouTube. you look at a guy like Leo Santa Cruz, who punches as hard as a middleweight would punch. And it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's just one punch, and he didn't really direct it like how you would punch probably in a boxing match. But nonetheless, the power that he generated from that punch was sometimes as hard as some of the middleweights. And some of the middleweights actually punch pretty hard as some heavyweights. And some of the heavyweights actually punch as hard as some of the super featherweights, etc. So I realized that your punching power is not necessarily based on your weight, as it is based on your technique, how you throw it, the velocity of your hand, etc. And how consistent you can be with that. So I just thought that was something interesting, because I just remembered, I remember a short guy knocking out a much taller guy, and who weighed a lot more. I've seen small guys knock out 300-pound guys, or hurt 300-pound guys with punches. And it's not just your weight, it's your technique, it's just what you do, right? So I just thought it was interesting for people to take mention of as well, because I noticed that a lot of people talk about weight class, and it's important to have weight classes to have an even playing field. But when it comes to like really thinking about it, what it takes to knock out a person is a certain amount of pounds of pressure applied to, say, your chin or your head or something. So really, at the end of the day, anybody can knock out anybody. Even if you're in a smaller weight class, it doesn't mean that you can't knock out a guy in a higher weight class. So I just thought that was interesting information for you guys to think about. Yes, when you're in higher weight class, you can absorb punishment and shocks much better, because more than likely you're a bigger person with bigger bone structure, bigger muscle structure, so you should be able to absorb punishment a little bit differently. But nonetheless, it doesn't mean that somebody smaller than you can't knock you out. And I just thought that was an interesting point that I would like to mention. All right, guys, you have a good one.